My name is Kasturi. I currently work in Amazon and I'm the head of product for one of their biggest events workstream.
Can you tell us a bit about your journey and what sparked your interest in marketing?
It kind of goes back a long time ago when I was, I think, 9 years old, and I realized while I was watching TV that I really like watching ads. And back then you would get VCRs and you would always skip ahead of the ads and you would continue watching the series or movies or whatever you're watching. And I would always tell my father or my family to not skip and watch ads. And my friends and my family found it very peculiar for a 9-year-old who likes to watch ads. And that love for ads continued and it grew as I grew up. And I think I realized that, that actually is all marketing and you're influencing, and it has a lot to do with psychology and all of that stuff. So yeah, that kind of sparked my interest in marketing.
For the next question, what do you do?
Currently in my role in Amazon, I work as head of product, but I wear multiple hats and I dabble in marketing, operations, and product. My role is about organizing some of the highest traffic and biggest sale events in Amazon, like Prime Day and Prime Big Deals Day, Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And I work together with a fantastic team, and we all work to make all of that events from plan to execution, materialize. As part of that, my role is to kind of understand the customer behavior of what customers want to buy during these high traffic sales, and how is that different from a day-to-day deal behavior or a discount behavior. What kind of trends are changing or coming into the market. What kind of product and marketing automation we need to kind of make things innovative and keep things up to date and make sure that customers are getting the best shopping experience when they come on the Amazon website. And of course, work with multiple teams across the company, like operations, transportation, different business teams, product teams. So it's kind of, you are an end-to-end planner of that event, and you work with multiple other key stakeholders and partners to kind of materialize that plan into reality.
For our next question, what role does product play in the world of marketing?
If I look back about a couple of, even 10 years ago, there was no role of product in marketing. The kind of product we have today, there was no role of that. The product manager, or what we used to refer as brand managers back in the day, was more about creating the physical product, like creating a shampoo and packaging and marketing of that. That was typically what a product manager was known for. 10 years forward, nowadays, a product manager is a very different title and responsibility, and a role of product and marketing is completely different than what it was. With the increased intervention and dependency of technology in all avenues of our lives, including marketing, product is kind of the bridge between how do you translate the creative marketing ideas and kind of tie them with the tech. And that bridge is what product does, and it translates business into the tech, and it kind of helps both these functions talk to each other and make sure the end result is consumer friendly, is what the customer is looking for, or is what will be useful for the customer.
Next question is, can you tell me more about a marketing campaign that has caught your attention recently?
So I was driving by a billboard the other day and it said injured. And there was this guy sitting on a chair, and that was it. That's all what the billboard said. And I drove past that billboard a couple of times in the last couple of weeks. And I was like, what kind of a billboard is this? What are you, are you trying to sell insurance? Are you trying to sell legal advice? Or what are you trying to sell? And I actually stopped my car on the sideway and I took a picture, zoomed in, and I saw what was that? There was just one phone number. It was just injured ? And a phone number. And I called the phone number because I was that curious, what kind of a campaign is this? And why would you spend so many dollars to put up that message on a billboard? And it ended up being that they were just, it was a driving safety, make sure that you drive safely from the state that I'm in. So it was very interesting that how something which is completely not related, first thing that came up, it was insurance or like legal advice or doctors even, but it was nothing. It was genuinely like the government trying to do something which was useful for the people. So that caught my attention, but that also got me thinking as to how, like, you tend to think that sometimes you have done everything and you have a playbook in terms of marketing, like these are all the things that you can do, these are all the channels you can tap into to launch a product or market something. But that's kind of the beauty of marketing. It's like it's an open-ended tunnel and it never ends. Like the creativity never ends. You always have something that comes up and something new. Like even something as traditional and as heavily dated as a billboard can be used, and a messaging which is just a one word messaging can be that effective. It like that dollar worked. I ended up calling to figure out what it was, and even though I like got touch wood, I was not injured, but at least I made that phone call, and that impression materialized into an engagement action. So that was an interesting, but it helped me understand, and I brought those insights back into my day to day, and it helped my team think out of the box. And we're like, let's just do something that we've never done. And that was kind of how the beauty of that campaign, that it pushed us on a day-to-day basis to do something that we have never done, like proactively think out of the box and do something and use a channel that you would never use for something that you would never, like, you would mismatch the channel and see if that's effective and experiment and see.
It's quite an interesting story. Okay, so moving on to our next question. What are, in your opinion, some of the biggest marketing challenges at the moment?
There are so many podcasts, and podcast is now one of the newest marketing channels, newer than influencers and social media, I would say. I was listening to this podcast about how the world is going to change in the next couple of years, like with the introduction of artificial intelligence, and everybody's talking about that. So I think in the next couple of years, one of the biggest challenges would be what parts of marketing adapts itself to incorporate artificial intelligence, what parts kind of become redundant because of that. And more importantly, how do you keep customer trust despite having artificial intelligence in your campaign? And I see this floating a lot in social media, that people are creating campaigns with celebrities who are not even in the video. While the campaign is engaging, effective, folks click engage, and it goes viral, because at some point you're like, the celebrity who is being represented there, or a morphed version of the celebrity, they kind of start questioning that, is this even ethical? So I think when AI comes into the marketing channels, how would you keep customer trust that this is something that is not fake? It is actually being endorsed by that celebrity or by whoever the spokesperson or the product is, or representing the product, even if they're not in the video. And that could be an advantage of having AI, that I physically don't have to come to shoot. You can use a morph version of me, and I review and approve the content, and that's good. But what if it's not? And that's one. And the second is that you can make so many fake videos because of AI, and something will sell because of that, and it will become word of mouth. So there's a whole ethical component that I feel like usually is very contained, because you have a lot of guidelines and guardrails in place for every channel. But AI is like, at the moment, can become like a weed if it is not used carefully. There might be a lot of ethical boundaries that might be crossed, or we may not even know that they are being crossed, and it may be very late. So I foresee that happening, and I'm very curious to see how leaders across the world kind of come together to address that challenge, or even think ahead to, I'm sure that we're already thinking ahead, but how do we tackle that?
Moving on to our next question. In your experience, how can one stay ahead in terms of marketing?
I tried to introspect. I was like, hey, did I see social media and influencer marketing coming up? No, I did not. And did most of us? Probably not. So if I had to go back and tell this to my junior self, like this advice, like how can I stay ahead of marketing? I would say this: don't stay laser focused only in the industry that you are in. Try and be as curious and as hungry to learn about as much as you can, even outside of your industry. What I have observed, the brightest and the most unseen successful ideas and products often come from industries that are not your own. If you are one step ahead of learning and keeping yourself educated on all of those, then you will kind of see the trend, because something is happening. It doesn't happen in one industry. It's kind of the vibe is kind of going across industries. So if you can zoom out and see that ahead of time, then you will have that foresight to know what to do and use that for your marketing channels or for even your marketing strategy, and you'll be ahead of that game. The other way is, again, kind of more tactical, experiment. If you see something is working, has worked last year, and you say, oh, we have experimented multiple times, it worked last year, and that becomes status quo. No, customers change their mind almost on a minute basis, and what worked yesterday may not work today. And if you don't experiment, and if you, again, that experimentation will help you understand what the trend is and how the mood of the customers are changing, and you'll get a lot of data. And if you are passionate about that kind of space and that kind of data digging, that will help you see the trends that are kind of forming at a more micro level. So the first one was more at a macro level, and the second one is at a more micro level to kind of help you see the trends and then use that to stay ahead in marketing.
And then on to our next question. In your opinion, what does the future of marketing look like?
I feel like it's going to be very exciting. It's also going to be very volatile. There are a lot of new channels coming up, new formats of marketing coming up, new devices are coming up, and that will become new channels. In some cases, all channels are coming back. Like word of mouth is kind of become stronger because of influencer marketing. Earlier, television ads used to be like a big thing, and now with TV going down and Netflix and chill and Hulu and all of that coming up. So, the role of television, the native television is going down, and native TV ads is going down. Also, like you can have subscription to not see ads. So what's the role of ads? So all of that is happening. So I feel like in the last 10 years, a lot has changed, a lot has evolved, and the rate of change is only increasing. So the future of marketing is going to be very dynamic, but also very volatile, because the customer segments are also changing. Like now you have Gen Z, and then you have Gen Alpha. Maybe you'll have Gen Beta, and I don't know, like after you exhaust all the Greek alphabets, you'll probably use some other Latin language or Sanskrit, who knows? So it's not as slow and as spaced out as it used to be. And it'll be interesting to see how all of that change is coming to evolve and inform the decisions on how we market to our customers. And yeah, I'm also listening about some segments of Gen Z. They don't like being marketed. Like they are stepping away from their telephones and from their cell phones and screens because they've had too much of it, and they're making conscious efforts to be screen free. And screen has kind of become the primary mode, whichever the channel be, of marketing. So if that happens, 20 years down the line, who knows like what the future of marketing will look like. But I think in a nutshell, it will be very different from what it has been so far.
On to our last question. What career advice would you like to share with other marketing leaders?
A lot of us have the same insights, but for different problems. And it's interesting to see how, despite having different problems and different approaches to solve those problems, the insights are all the same. It's ironic. So I would recommend leaders across the country and across the world to take the time and stay connected with other leaders and share those insights, because sometimes you may find something that will help you save a lot of dollars and a lot of time and energy. The other thing I would say is that some of the brightest ideas and the most successful campaigns that I've run in my career as a marketer has come from the team that I work with. I used to think that a successful campaign is a genius of one mind, and I no longer believe that. And I feel like that's one of the biggest myths. It's a culmination of many bright minds that make a campaign come together, like from the copywriter to the designer to the editor, merchandiser, the product manager, the engineering team behind it. Everybody has a role. Even if you're not creatively inclined or contributing to a campaign, you're still making that campaign successful. So take the time to nurture your team, to identify who is contributing to what aspects of the campaign, and grow that skill set. Because in the end, it's the people that make us all successful. I mean, I realize it more and more, because with technology spiking up and intelligence and artificial intelligence spiking up, the role of human involvement in marketing especially, we'll have to make that decision very, very soon, that how much involvement do we need from a human, and how do you hone in that talent. So as leaders, we should think ahead and think from a people standpoint as well, and share insights, whatever you learn across marketers around your industry or your network.